Okay, you guys, it is time for the tea. You have already read the title of this video, so we're going to get started. But before we do, I need you to like, comment, and subscribe because I see that you guys are watching, but I need you to like as well, and I need you to subscribe as well because it helps me out, okay? And I feel like I'm giving you guys valuable content and sharing with you guys some things that have helped me. So what you can do that is free is by liking and subscribing. Okay, so I'm gonna take you to the very beginning. So I started this class on May 12th and it is now June 15th. Let me start by saying I was very intimidated by this class because it just seemed like it was just such a broad umbrella of information. And for me, I'm not a person that likes a bunch of things, I guess you could say, or broad. I don't know. What I like is women's health and infants' health. And so I was just like, oh, this is so much information. You know, I just want to get to the good stuff. So I think to start, what I did was, because I saw in the Facebook groups that a lot of people were saying that they didn't read the chapters or do the EAQs, or maybe they did just a few. So I think the first thing that I did for this class was go ahead and get my tickets to ride out the way. I think there were 4 of them because I start clinicals in July. So I wanted to make sure that I got those out of the way. And actually my program mentor suggested that I do those. So I did that first. And I mean, the answers to me were really easy. I mean, you could also look them up and then make it make sense for you. What did I do next? So next what I did was I did a few EAQs and then I watched a few Level Up RN videos. But I ended up going back to simple nursing because, like I said, Nurse Mike, I like his funny sayings and music and the little animations that go along with it. They help me remember the content more easily. Even when I was taking the OA, I would remember different sayings that he would say in my head. So I would kind of go back and forth between, okay, what's listed under the competencies that I need to know for this course, and then try to find them in Simple Nursing, the website. So I did not watch all of his med search videos. What I did was just kind of search a system or a topic and then watch that video pertaining to that topic. So like for one of the competencies for D444 Adult Health 1, is the the head, eyes, ears, nose, and throat, and ugumentary conditions. So I would just watch videos related to that. Another one was GI, reproductive, GU, and hepatic conditions. So I would just watch videos related to that, not necessarily watching his whole packet of videos under med surge. Because to me, it was kind of repetitive, which I feel like I struggled with this class a lot because I just felt so bored with it because I felt like I had already learned it either through pathophysiology, pharmacology, health assessment. But like my program mentor was telling me, she was like, it's not just you like knowing what med does what. It's like, okay, this is the patient's symptoms. What med do you need to give them? What testing do they need to have done? And just like the nursing care that goes along with that. So that's kind of how I tried to remember, okay, this is how I need to get through this course. Yes, it sounds and also nutrition too. And like mid-dose as well. This class kind of tied everything together, honestly. So if you did really well with your pharmacology, a lot of this stuff you'll remember, and you may have to break back out your notebook. Like I end up having to grab my notebook again and go over my pharmacology again, just so that way I could remember what drugs do what again. So, after I did some simple nursing videos, then what did I decide to do? Then after that, I think I did. So we had to finish our tickets to ride. We also had to answer 10 questions. So I had 10 questions sent from my professor. So I did those. And what I did was for each question, I would just look up that term in the, is it gerontology? Gerontology book and the health assessment book. Like I said, just look up the keywords. So like if they were talking about like, oh gosh, what was it? If they were talking about, oh, like it was like skin, hair, and nail changes as you age, I would just type into the gerontology book, skin, hair, and nails. And then I would just make an answer that answer the question about the changes that happen with that. And then do that for the next question, look for the keywords, and then kind of mesh together an answer that would answer the question that my professor was asking. Then after that, oh, sorry. Before I answer those questions, what I did was I looked in the Facebook groups, and I think there were 3 or 4 different study guides. Again, hear me. The study guides that I use for this course are in the Facebook group that corresponds to this class. I get a lot of questions asking me, what study guide did you use? The one that's in the Facebook group that has the same title as the class that you're looking for. If you don't have a Facebook group, if you don't have a Facebook, make a Facebook. I didn't have a Facebook, and I made one because I knew that that was what was going to help me. So I don't want to see any questions about that because, like I said, it's in the Facebook group that corresponds to the class that you're taking. If you can't get in, ask somebody to help get you in. I normally only stay in that Facebook group until like I pass the class, and then I'm out because I try to keep my Facebook feed like really minimal because I really don't even want to be on Facebook, but I know that it's helping me get through school. So yeah, that's why I keep it. So I looked at the suggestions from Zach's study guide, and again, I did the same thing. Like he recommended looking at esophageal varices. So I would type in that keyword into our adult health assessment book that go along with the course. And then I would just type out information about that topic as much as I could find in the book. Go to the next topic that he talked about, which probably was like COPD. Find everything that I could find on COPD in the book. Like I said, you type it in the search, and then you just look and you just read, and then you see what's going to make sense to you. And I did that for every question. And then also what I like to do is add in like real people that I know or patients that have had certain conditions. That way it helps me stick it down just a little bit better. That's also why I don't share my notes, because I like to put real people and real patients that I know into my notes because it helps me. So yeah, I did Zach's study guide. And then once I got done with his study guide, I think I came out with 29 pages. I'm very thorough with my notes. I ended up turning that into a notebook LM because that was what was suggested in the Facebook group that corresponds with this class. So I just copy and paste it, and then it turns it like into a podcast type deal. So I did that, and I listened to it while I was working out. I listened to it while I was driving. I listened to it like while I was cleaning up around the house. I had my kids while I was outside with my kids. When I took my kids to the park, I had in my little headphones, and I was listening to that. I also took the other study guides that are from the Facebook group. Make sure you look in the Facebook group for those. And I just turned those into Notebook LM podcasts and just listened to it and downloaded those audio files onto my phone. And I just listened to those night and day, all the time. Listen to those. So then after I got done doing that, then I decided to do my pre-assessments. I think the first time I didn't use any resources, and the second time I did because I didn't pass them, which was fine. It's just I was getting bored with this class, so I needed to know like what it is that I needed to study. So I took those, and then once I was done with my PAs, I took pictures of the things that I missed and then studied those, made notes, and then I also did my remediation packets, made notes on that. And you can see that on my YouTube channel where I post my results and posted what I did to pass the PAs. I do recommend, if you can or if you have time, try to do it without any resources. That way you can really try to see what it is that you need to study. And then once you get that, then the second time you should have a little bit more information. Then maybe the second time you can pick your answer and then see how it matches to the resource if you do want to use it. But I highly recommend, because this is a high, like, content heavy course, that you try to do it without resources at least the first time. So I did that. And then I did the 50 Saunders question, and I tried to do that with no resources. And it's like, at first I started out like in the 40%, and I worked my way up to the 60, like 2% or 66%, but you needed a 77 in order to turn that into your course instructor. I took like over 200 questions on the Saunders, in the Saunders book. And I felt like, okay, this is enough. Like, I was not getting to the 75% without any help. So I just started looking up my answers, because I'm like, okay, I'm taking over 200 questions. Like, I don't know. And I think also too is because I wasn't splitting it up between Adult Health 1 and Adult Health 2, because there are certain body systems that are only in Adult Health 1. And so I think maybe why that was kind of tanking my score a little bit is because I was taking the whole adult health and not splitting it up by systems, by class, if that makes sense. So I finally did the 50 question Saunders, and I was able to get an 85%. I looked back to see what I missed, sent that to my course instructor, and then I think she told me I needed to finish another remediation packet or something like that, one of the ones that I had missed. And then what did I do? I don't know. I took a lot of breaks during the course of taking this class. Well, as many breaks as what you would consider a lot of breaks, even though it's been like only a month. But I was just, like I said, I just was kind of getting bored with the information. Like, I know that I should know it, but I don't know. I just was not feeling the information. So anyway, so then I set up a one-on-one call with my professor, and I honestly don't even know why we do those, because the last two classes that I needed to do it for, they basically said I was just good to go and they would approve my OA. I thought it would be like they would have questions for me to answer, and that's how I would get help, because in one of the Facebook groups, they talk about how they had a 45-minute call with their course instructor, and like it just gave like a wealth of information. I don't know. So maybe if I have to do that again, I'll say, like, put in the notes, like, I'd like to be asked some questions or something. I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know. We'll see. So yeah, so she approved me, and now I'm going to, so also, sorry, before I took my test, I studied today. Just like, I really studied the lab values, because I figured this is a lot of lab values. So what I did, so that way I wouldn't get bored, because I started out writing, I was like, no, that's too much. So I ended up doing a Quizlet over lab values, and just did that like well, not hundreds, but I did that a bunch of times, and then found like some other questions from past students, the D444 for health assessment class. I just would look in Quizlet and just do those questions, and then do somebody else. I didn't save anyone, but I would just do somebody's questions, do somebody else's questions. Like I said, I feel like I was just kind of sick of this class, so I was just like, you know, just do some questions for exposure therapy. But now let's get into the actual OA. So with all that I did, I managed to get a score of a 973, and I am proud of that. That converts to an 87.57 HESI conversion. So after my test, I really tried to remember what was on the OA, but also not give everything away, because I don't want to get I don't want to get in trouble. But I will say that everything that was on Zach's guide, you need to study that guide and the files, the 45-minute call, and then I think there's another one in the Facebook groups. But what you guys need to do is fill out the study guides for yourself. I would not say, like, if somebody has one pre-filled out, I don't think that that should be your main source of information. I think you need to actually spend time digging for the information, because that's what's going to help make it stick more. So anyway, let's get into what I could remember from the OA. So I have a lot of things written on my whiteboard. I wrote this after like my test was done and everything, and just kind of tried to remember everything and went through the study guide. I was like, okay, yep, that was on there. Yep, that was on there. So you want to know about psoriasis, how to treat it, what it looks like. There were a lot of GERD questions on there. What is it? How do you treat it? The nutrition for it. Tons of questions about pneumonia. What to look for, the testing for it. Hold on, let me start marking some of these off so that way I don't repeat it. So psoriasis, GERD, pneumonia, tons of questions about that. TB, you need to know about tuberculosis, the confirmation diagnosis. There were a lot of questions about choleostasis and cholecystectomy. You need to know about this. This was something that I don't feel like I studied a lot, but I do have a friend that has some choleo issues, and so I just thought of her to help me get through my test. I'm not laughing because she has it. I'm laughing because this is like really what I mean by when somebody has like an ailment. I think about them during these classes, and it helps get me through. So you need to know a lot about choleostasis and cholecystectomy, or whatever it is, whatever the surgery. You need to know about COPD. I know somebody that has that, so make sure you know about that. You need to know about emphysema and the difference between the pink puffers and the blue bloaters. You need to know about your bronchodilators. Ipratropium, that one came up a lot. Lactulose came up. Asthma came up a lot. I have asthma, so I know a lot about that. Your ABGs. There weren't a lot of questions where it was like the pH, the PCO2, PaO2, and then the HCO3. There weren't a lot of those, but like it would say like if a person has like, I don't know, respiratory alkalosis, what were their labs look like? So you need to know how to figure that out. And I think a great video for that is Nurse Mike's video on ABGs. When I went to Ivy Tech, they tried to teach me, or maybe I tried to teach myself like the Rome method. But I think what really made it stick more for me was the Simple Nursing video on that. Okay, so let me mark that off. You need to know about vancomycin. You need to know about symptoms related to septic shock. You need to know, so I was stressing a little bit about lab values, but they did give you the lab values. You just need to know like if it's out of the lab value or if it's low or in the middle. So you should know them, but they did have them on the test. You need to know about HIV and what it affects, and if a patient has candida, what you need to do about that. You also need to know about aspiration and what does that say? Oh, suction. And you need to know about wound dressings and like the process that you use for wound dressings. Signs of fever and infection. I feel like a lot of the questions where they gave you like the heart rate, the blood pressure, and some other lab values, and like you needed to see, and temperature. And so kind of like what NEXUS Nursing said, because I watched her videos too, NEXUS Nursing. She talked about like you need to see like, okay, If a patient's in pain, if they have a fever, like, okay, you need to start to see like, okay, is this patient showing signs of septic shock? Like with the increased temperature, heart rate, blood pressure, all those things. There were quite a few questions about, I didn't write this down, but now I'm remembering, about urine output. So you need to make sure that you know, like if a patient had 240 mLs over 4 hours, how much that is. Because remember, if a patient has an output less than 30 an hour, that's bad. So I forget, what did Nurse Mike say? 30 mLs or less, the kidneys are in distress. So I kept thinking about that. Okay, let me mark some of these off. Signs of fever. Oh, you need to know about your PPE and COVID. Tuberculosis, you need to know your toxic drugs. You need to know your med dose, so brush up on your med dose calculation. So remember, that's your demand over your half times your quantity. So if a doctor prescribes, you put that over what you have or what's available in the pharmacy times the volume. You also need to know about MS, the medicines for it, neurological treatment for it. You need to know about celiac disease and the diet, Crohn's disease, Huntington's disease, and what does that look like, and how would you help a patient with that? You need to know about glaucoma, and just like the tonometry values. So like you don't want a patient to have, well, first off, the patient's going to need to be on the medicine for long term, for the rest of their life, pretty much. And like it needs to be under 21. So like if they had an intraocular pressure of, I don't know, 26, obviously that's not good. Eye surgery, what are some nurse care things? So the eye shield, the stool softeners, making sure that they're not bending over or using that vagal, like where they're bearing down or where they're pushing. You also want to know about tinea pedis, which is the athlete's foot. You also want to know your drugs, like your NSAIDs and your antibiotics. Ketorolac, that one I kept forgetting about, but make sure you know that one. Make sure you know your hepatic encephaly and your hiatal hernia. So they may give you like some nurse's notes, and you need to be able to differentiate whether a nurse action is contraindicated, indicated, or it's non-essential. So make sure you know, like when a person has a certain pathophysiology, that what you're doing is helping them, or if it's not helping them, or if it doesn't even matter. And then you also need to know your your lipase. So basically, in conclusion, the things that were on Zach's study guide and the 45-minute conversation, or I guess phone call, with the course instructor that's in the Facebook group, know those things. Also, Jazz's PowerPoint was good, but I think what really helped me this time around was the Simple Nursing Zach study guide for sure. There were a few other ones in the Facebook groups, but I can't remember everything. NEXUS Nursing, and I hope I got everything. Oh, and brushing up on my pharmacology. That's what helped. Other than that, you guys, that is all that I have for this video. I hope that you guys pass your D444 adult health OAs and your PAs. Make sure that you are using your books, so that way you can just look up the answers, use the keyword, look that up, type it in, make it make sense for you. And then also, what really helped me is the Notebook LM. I will be using that from here on out, because like I said, it makes like a podcast style learning resource for you. Like it was kind of freaky in the beginning because I was like, this feels like iRobot, you know, because it's like, how do they take text and make it sound like humans talking back and forth? I don't know, it was really cool. But yeah, you'll use that, and make sure that you like and subscribe, you guys. I need that to help my channel grow and to reach other nursing students and other night owls. Other than that, that's all that I have for you guys in this video. I'm extremely tired. It's 11 p.m. at night. I'm going to try to get this video uploaded either tonight or tomorrow. But I will see you guys in the next one. Happy studying.